They were the perfect eye candy. Beautiful face, beautiful body, dance moves like no other. They were the perfect stars and the perfect performers. But did they make a bad choice when they decided not to use their own voice? Let's find out right now. Happy Wicked Wednesday, my Cajun cuties. Yes, it's me, Anne-Marie, aka the Cajun Crime Queen from Carrico, Louisiana. Cajun born, Cajun bred, and when I die, I'll be Cajun dead. I hope after this video that you like, subscribe, and comment. And don't forget to press on that notification bell so you never miss a video from me, Anne-Marie. I hope you have a beverage. I hope you have a snuggle partner or a snuggle fur partner. Those are the best. And you are ready to hear a true story from yours truly. And as always, I want to know, are y'all drinking that water? Are y'all staying hydrated? Are y'all getting those tickers up? Remember, just a quick 20-30 minute walk every day, especially first thing in the morning. Get those endorphins up and you're going to have an amazing, wonderful day. I promise you. And thank y'all so much for joining me tonight on this Wicked Wednesday evening. I am so happy that y'all decided to come and sit with me and listen to this story. Tonight, we are going to be covering a band. It had a very horrible and tragic ending, but the middle of the story was happy just for a little bit. Today, we are going to discuss this band because they are all over TikTok. And the reason why they are all over TikTok and people are making TikToks with their songs, including myself, is because a lot of their music is featured in Monsters, the Menendez Brothers series on Netflix. And a lot of people are making TikToks or singing their songs, but they do not know the tragedy of this band. And a lot of people have discussed it with me and asked me. And then I started thinking, I hardly know about the band. So I want to give y'all my knowledge and what I have learned about this iconic band. This band was so wonderful and so amazing that they were right up there with Madonna and Michael Jackson. They made awesome music, but was it really their music? Today, we are going to be discussing the band Milli Vanilli. Milli Vanilli was formed in 1988, and they had two members, Fab and Rob. Music producer Frank Fabian saw them, and he loved them. Milli Vanilli was huge in the late 80s. I remember listening to them as a little girl. I was only 4 years old when the band came out, but I had an older sister, Michelle, who was 20 at the time, who loved Milli Vanilli and listened to them constantly. So I remember the music like it was yesterday. And Milli Vanilli had huge hits, y'all. Huge. Girl, You Know It's True. Blame It on the Rain. Girl, I'm Gonna Miss You. And my personal favorite, Don't Forget My Number. I am a huge, huge fan of Rob and Fab and the band Milli Vanilli. Milli Vanilli was huge in Germany and then became huge worldwide. The two members of the group, Fab and Rob, I'm going to tell you a little bit about them now. Rob Pilatus was born on June 8, 1964 in Munich, Germany to his parents, African-American father and German mother. Rob had beautiful skin, beautiful green eyes, beautiful hair. He was a gorgeous child. And I'm not just saying he was gorgeous. Rob was a beautiful baby. But sadly, the first 4 years of Rob's life, he spent in an orphanage as he felt unwanted. Rob always felt like an outsider. But at the age of 4 years old, Rob was adopted by a loving family. Rob loved growing up in Germany. He loved to break dance. I saw several videos of him breakdancing, and he could dance. He loved performing, dancing, and singing. He was even a backup dancer for several artists and would perform. He would also go to the clubs and breakdance. Rob was an amazing dancer, but according to Frank, the music producer, he did not feel that Rob could sing. One night in Germany, Rob meets Fab Morvan. Fab Morvan was born on May 14, 1966 in Paris, France. When he was only 18 years old, he decided to move to Munich, Germany. Fab said he was so poor that he had to sleep in train stations. But one night he walked into a nightclub and saw this man breakdancing. And breakdancing, awesome. He was an awesome breakdancer. Fab met him, and Rob and Fab became friends that night, and they both loved to dance. They loved to perform. They even started a rock soul group. They moved into a tiny attic where Fab slept on the couch and Rob slept on this tiny bed. Even though they were very poor, at the time, the two men were working as models to make ends meet. They were both beautiful, good-looking men. The radio was always on. They always had this vision of wanting to sing, wanting to perform, wanting to dance. And in the 80s, they were singing, they were dancing, they were performing, and they were even backup dancers to several artists on TV. They also wanted to change their hair. They put braids in their hair and they looked awesome. I mean, they looked incredible. These two men were two men that were going to go somewhere in life. They knew they wanted more. When they met music producer Frank Farr, Frank knew he was going to have a big act with these two men. And Frank Farr was a great music producer. He produced Boney M. I'm too young to know who Boney M was. They were a huge band in the 70s and sold millions of records. And Frank was responsible for that. So Milli Vanilli knew that Frank was a great music producer. When Rob and Fab walked into Frank's studio, they were met with tons of gold records on the walls. They knew they wanted this. They wanted to achieve this type of fame, this type of success, and they wanted to be good singers and performers. Frank looks at both men, hands them the contract, talks to them about it, and the boys are so excited. Frank says, sign here. Both men signed the contract. They toasted. Then Frank turns to Rob and says, "Don't F with me. Don't you ever F with me." Why would Frank say that to Rob? Months go by and Rob and Fab do not hear from music producer Frank. They don't understand why. They signed a contract, Frank gave them some money, they toasted, but nothing. Then, out of the blue, Ingrid calls the men and tells them to come to the studio. And that is when they hear, "Girl, You Know It's True." They love the song, great song, by the way. But Frank pulls them aside and tells them, "You are not going to sing. We want y'all to lip sing." Both men did not want. Both men grew very angry. They were upset and they said, "No, we are not lip singing. We want to sing. We want to perform. We want to make this our own record. We are not doing this." And that is when Ingrid, the secretary, presents Fab and Rob with the contract and says, "Oh, no, you don't understand. You signed this contract. That is your signature on that contract. And you have to do this. Frank has given you money. And if you don't do this, you are indebted to Frank." So both boys say, "Okay, we're going to do one song and then we're out." And that is when Milli Vanilli is formed. And the song "Girl, You Know It's True" is sung by the real rappers, Brad Harrell, Charles Shaw, and John Davis. Rob and Fab lip sing the song. It was said that Frank wrote a check to Charles Shaw for $12,000 and said, "Here you go, keep your mouth shut." No one said anything. No one said anything at all. Milli Vanilli performed. And Milli Vanilli had this one song, "Girl, You Know It's True," but they were not singing. It wasn't their voice. They were dancing, they were performing, but they were not singing. Both men did not want to do this, but They had to. They had to do it. They had to fulfill their contract. But remember, Rob and Fab were marketable. They were beautiful and they were good dancers, but they could not sing. But music producer Frank wanted these two men out there. He wanted to market these two men. Everyone made money. Frank thought to himself, Rob and Fab are making money, the real rappers are making money, and Frank's gonna make money, so everyone is happy. But was everyone really happy with this situation? And get this, y'all, remember when I discussed the band Bonnie M, who was huge back in the 70s, sold millions of records? Yeah, they were lip singing as well. It wasn't really their voices. So this wasn't Frank's first time doing this to a band. He had this idea, he knew who was marketable, and he wanted to make money. But I'm gonna pause right there. Who cares how a singer looks? I don't know about y'all, but I'm gonna tell y'all about me. I listen to music because I like the way it sounds. I love the person's voice. I never heard of anyone in my life saying, man, that's a pretty song, but they don't look good. Oh, I'm not listening to it because they don't look good. I never heard of that in my life. Have y'all? Y'all tell me down in the comments, because I listen to music and songs because I like it, not because what the person looks like. But Frank wanted to put voices behind these faces that didn't match. It was weird. It was really, really weird. But in the summer of 1988, Girl You Know It's True is #1 in Germany. This was huge for Fab and Rob. Milli Vanilli had made it to the top. It was said they were extremely nervous all the time, though. They were worried all the time because they weren't really singing. But their nerves turned to excitement when they made it to the United States. And that is when they were #2 in the United States, and they were in the top 5 in 23 countries worldwide. That is huge, y'all. That is amazing. And they were just starting out. They had one song, Girl You Know It's True. Their style was iconic. They had the braids, the bandanas, the blazers with the big shoulder pads, the spandex shorts, the big tennis shoes with the socks. Their style was completely different than anyone else, and they were making it. They were performing everywhere. They loved performing, and they learned to embrace the lie because the fame took over them. The money took over them. They were an amazing band, and they knew they weren't singing, but they were making money. They were famous, and this is what they always wanted. So slowly, they learned to live with this lie. A band was formed with Milli Vanilli, but the band was constantly rehearsing without Rob and Fab. And the band made the comment, where's Rob and Fab? Why aren't they ever at rehearsal? Are they just that good? They never have to rehearse? Are they that busy? They just always on the go? Why aren't they here rehearsing? The band didn't realize Rob and Fab were lip singing. Frank, the music producer, knew he wanted to make a second album with Milli Vanilli. So he turns to Arista Records, which is ran by executive, iconic music producer Clive Davis. We all know who Clive Davis is. He signed a legend. Yes, he signed Whitney Houston. May she rest in peace. What a wonderful singer. If Clive Davis wants to do a record with you, that's huge. And Clive knew he wanted to do a record with Rob and Fab and Milli Vanilli. Frank was over the moon excited that there was going to be a second album. Rob and Fab want to sing with their own voices on the next album. And if they couldn't sing on the next album, they wanted out. Rob and Fab go to Frank, and Frank says, absolutely not. Y'all are not singing on the next album. Ingrid, Frank's secretary, presents the contract once again and says, you have to sing several albums, not just one. So Milli Vanilli knew they had to do more albums with Frank. In March of 1989, Arista Records released Milli Vanilli's second album, Blame It on the Rain. And this album is huge, y'all. It is huge. It sells 8 million records. One of the biggest debuts of all time. Rob and Fab's face, they're everywhere, everywhere. Everyone wanted a piece of Rob and Fab, and their presence was wanted. Everyone wanted to see Rob and Fab. And off of that record, they had 3 #1 hits. Blame It on the Rain, Girl, I'm Gonna Miss You, and Don't Forget My Number. And not only that, they were in the top 5 hits in 23 countries, y'all. 23 countries. They were known worldwide. Milli Vanilli hired a manager, Todd Headley, and he put them on the MTV tour, their first American tour. They were selling hit after hit, selling out concert after concert. They were sexy performers. They wore the spandex. They did flips. They would break dance. They were awesome, but they weren't really singing. Then on July 21st, 1989, in Bristol, Connecticut, Milli Vanilli is caught lip singing. Rob runs off the stage not knowing what to do. But the crazy thing is, nothing really happened. Nobody really said anything. But interviewers started to notice that the way the men spoke and the way they sang sounded different. Their voices didn't sound like the songs they were singing. It sounded very different. And to carry that burden on their shoulders was hard for them. And I know, in my opinion, that I would have trouble carrying a lie like that. That is a huge lie. Every day you perform, every day you sing, every day you're interviewed by someone, and you know in the back of your head that all of this is a lie. You're not really singing. Someone else is singing. And Fab made a very good statement. And I will remember this statement for the rest of my life. And I want y'all to remember this statement as well. Lies take the elevator. The stairs take the truth. Meaning, eventually, that lie is going to climb up those stairs and reach you. Rob and Fab knew eventually this lie was going to come out and they were going to be caught red-handed, and the lie was going to ruin them. And they both knew that it was only a matter of time. Rob and Fab began to drink and take drugs to numb out the pain they were feeling. They felt so much pain of what they were doing with themselves. All of this lip singing, they felt that the lie was catching up with them. How can the producers do this to them? How can these producers do this to these 2 young men? They didn't deserve this coming to them. And at this time, at this point, the real singers were fed up. They saw that Milli Vanilli had a gold single, a platinum album, and they were just sitting back. They were just sitting down, thinking to themselves, that's my words, that's my music, that's my voice. Now, I don't know if they were getting some type of money in the background. In my opinion, they were, but I don't know. I couldn't find anything on that. But nonetheless, in December of 1989, Charles Shaw had had enough. He said to himself, my voice is behind Girl, You Know It's True. And he went public. And get this, y'all, no one believed him. No one believed that he was telling the truth. Frank told everybody that Charles Shaw was a liar and it was all made up not to listen to him. Next, Charles Shaw calls Milli Vanilli's manager, Todd, and tells Todd. And Todd says, oh, it's a crazy man. Don't believe him. He's making all of this up. Don't worry. And that is when some of the true singers turned to drugs and alcohol themselves to numb out the pain. But producers were happy. Milli Vanilli was making money. They got bonuses. They got big checks. Everyone was happy. Frank was happy. The album itself made $5 $780 million. Frank was almost a billionaire due to Milli Vanilli. That's how much money they were making. This was huge for Milli Vanilli, but none of it was true. They had won 3 American Music Awards. They were that popular. And in 1990, they were nominated for a Grammy. And they were up against true singers like Tone Loc and Soul to Soul. And they win that Grammy. Milli Vanilli wins the Grammy. And that is when everyone turns angry and says, "This is the beginning of the end." After winning the Grammy, Rob and Fab became extremely arrogant. After the Grammys, there was an after party, and Paul McCartney from the Beatles wanted to congratulate Milli Vanilli and tell them hello. Rob and Fab brushed him off, saying, "We're not doing this right now, maybe later." Paul McCartney, as we all know, is iconic. He is a legend. Everyone knows Paul McCartney, and they brushed him off like he was nothing. They felt like they were better than everyone. And they even made the comment that they were better singers than Paul McCartney. And they weren't even the ones singing, but they were out of touch with reality. They were extremely arrogant at this time. The next album, Keep Running, Rob and Fab said, "We want to sing. We don't want to lip sing anymore. We did an album. Now we want to do an album with our own voice." Frank said no. The 2 boys lawyered up. And that is when, once again, that contract was presented. And when they presented that contract, it showed they had to make multiple albums. So the 2 boys started to blackmail Frank. They started saying, "We want more money," demanding more and more and more and more money, thinking that Frank was going to say, "I want out." Milli Vanilli, Rob and Fab even said, "If you don't give us this amount, we're going to go public and we're going to tell everyone that it's not really us singing." But they did not budge. Frank said, "You know what? I am not going to let these 2 men blackmail me." So, November 15th, 1990, Frank flew to New York with the True Singers and told everyone that Milli Vanilli was really lip singing, that it wasn't their voices, and these people sitting in front of him were the true singers, and he felt like the true singers needed to be identified. This was his idea. This was Frank's idea. And he threw Milli Vanilli under the bus, Rob and Fab. This wasn't their idea. They wanted to sing on the albums. They wanted to hear their voices. They wanted the world to hear what they sounded like. But Frank threw Milli Vanilli to the sharks and said, "This is what happened. These are the singers, and that's that." Rob and Fab of Milli Vanilli decided they wanted to do their own press conference. So 5 days later, on November 20th, 1990, Rob and Fab were interviewed by reporters, and these reporters ate them up like alligators. They were just saying horrible things, going at them with everything, like, "How can you do this to your fans?" This, that. And Rob and Fab kept saying, "We wanted to sing. We wanted our voices to be heard. But these music producers didn't want us to sing. So if you're going to blame anybody, blame them." And remember, at the time when Milli Vanilli started, Rob and Fab had no money. They wanted fame, they wanted success, they wanted money, they wanted to perform. And when they were introduced with this idea, they said, okay. But in reality, they really wanted to sing on those albums. But Frank didn't think that they could sing. But Frank did think they were marketable. But Milli Vanilli said, Rob made a comment. "Did you live in the projects? Were you working at McDonald's? Did you want to have something better in your life?" And the reporters just kept eating them up, eating them up, eating them up. The reporters did not let them go. The reporters were saying horrible things to them. And in my opinion, Rob and Fab, yes, they were to blame. No question. They could have said, we're not doing this. But they were under contract. The real people to blame are the producers like Frank. And it was said that all of these people didn't know, all these producers like Clive Davis didn't know that they were lip singing. In my opinion, everyone knew Milli Vanilli was lip singing, but they were still good. They looked good, they performed good, they sung good, but they did not deserve to be thrown to the alligators. They deserved more than that. But Frank sat back and just threw them away like trash when they deserved so much more than what they received. The backlash from Milli Vanilli's fraud was horrible. People were running over their albums. They were returning their albums. Radio stations stopped playing their music and songs on the radio. There were lawsuits against them. But all they wanted to do was to sing their own songs and use their own voices. But Frank didn't think they were good enough. If Frank didn't think they were good enough, why just not produce them? Why move on? Why introduce this huge lie to the world? And in my opinion, Frank should be blamed. It was horrible. Rob and Fab started drinking more and more and fell into a deep, dark depression. In 1992, they decided to have a comeback. A label picked them up, but sadly, they only sold around 2,000 albums. And in 1996, Rob from Milli Vanilli served 3 months in prison for assault, vandalism, and attempted robbery. Rob was on a dangerous path of drugs and alcohol, and he was extremely, extremely depressed. Fab paid for Rob to go to rehab for 6 months before returning to Germany. But sadly, on April 3rd, 1998, Rob was found dead in a hotel room in Germany from an alcohol and drug overdose. He was that depressed and that sad over the outcome of Milli Vanilli. But Fab is doing wonderful. He is living with his longtime partner, Tessa, in Amsterdam, and they have 4 beautiful children. I saw the video of Fab playing with his children. He is happy, he is singing, he is living his best life. And he says he loves spending time with his partner and his 4 children. He looks and seems very happy, but he will never forget the time he had with Milli Vanilli, and he will never forget his good friend and a person who felt like his brother, Rob. He loved Rob very much, and it still devastates him to this day that Rob is no longer with us. My final thought, I always give y'all my final thought. And my final thought is, I believe that the only people to blame in this situation are the producers. Mainly because Rob and Fab signed that contract not knowing that they were going to be lip singing. They didn't know. They thought they were going to be using their own voices. Then once they realized they were in this contract and they had to do multiple albums, they were stuck and they couldn't get out. And then fame and fortune overtook them. They embraced the lie. They learned how to lie and said, if we didn't lie, we wouldn't have these things. And another thing that I'm going to say, if Frank did want to be blackmailed anymore by Rob and Fab, number one, he should have just paid them off and walked away. But what he really should have done, if he wanted to tell the world all of this was a lie, he should have had Rob and Fab from Milli Vanilli and the true singers of the songs and himself all together at that press conference in New York and tell everyone the truth. Tell everyone, these are the performers, but these are the true singers. Why not have Milli Vanilli there with you? Why not have Rob and Fab by your side? Why have Rob and Fab do their own press conference 5 days later? Why? In my opinion, because Milli Vanilli was going to say in front of Frank, you made us do this. We didn't want to do this. We didn't want to lip sync, but we were in a contract that we couldn't get out of. A lot of people say Milli Vanilli should have just came out and told everybody at the beginning, look, this was all a lie. But they wanted the fame and fortune. So they are to blame for that. But sadly, they had to give back their Grammy. They weren't the real singers. And no matter how you look, if you can sing, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. People don't care about that. But in Frank's eyes, the music producer, all he cared about was money. He wanted money, he wanted fame, he wanted fortune. He wanted to produce these two men, but he did not want to use their voices. And he had done it before with Bonnie M. So in my opinion, Frank is the main one to blame in this situation. I heard Fab sing Blame It on the Rain, and I thought his voice was great. I thought he had an amazing voice, but he did not sing on the albums with Milli Vanilli. He was lip singing. My heart goes out to Rob's family, and I hope Rob is resting in peace. And I am also very happy that Fab has learned to embrace life and that he is living a good life in Amsterdam with his partner and his 4 children. I hope you all enjoyed today's video. I hope that you like, subscribe, and comment. And don't forget to press on the notification bell so you never miss a video from me, Anne Marie. And always remember to stay safe, always be aware of your surroundings, and always know that I'm here for you. And as always, thank you for the love and support. I really appreciate all of you. And for you, I am truly grateful. I love each and every one of y'all. And I will see y'all next week with more videos. Bye.